So like basically, I actually really don't know too much about the Main Street program. I looked on your website, found some basic information, but can you like start out by talking about the program itself?
Of course. The Main Street program was actually first started by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is, of course, a national organization. And they started the Main Street program, the Main Street USA program. And they did it because they noticed that so many towns across the United States that their historic main streets were completely falling apart, and because all these big, at the time it's when all the big malls were going in and strip malls and everything else, and it was so sad to see what little history we have in the United States, being a young country, falling into disrepair and having to be basically bulldozed and everything else. So they were trying to find a way that they could preserve and even move into the future with all these buildings and keep Main Street as kind of the heart of the community. So they first started it, and then there was one established. It was Main Street, Oklahoma, and then of course we're a division of Main Street, Oklahoma. So there was a process that this organization had to go through in 1997 to be approved as a Main Street program with the state, and they made it. And so our whole purpose now is not just for the preservation of downtown, but also to make sure that it thrives. So we kind of have many hats that we wear. Part of it, of course, is trying to provide funds and resources to help people be able to preserve these buildings and everything else. But at the same time, we also are here to be their biggest cheerleaders. So we try to have as many events that we can do, and basically anything to get people downtown and engaged with our local businesses downtown, so that they can continue to stay where they are.
I see. And how did you get involved with the program?
Well, it's something that I've always been interested in, especially when we moved to Durant. And I would volunteer from time to time on little projects here and there, but I owned a business before I came into this particular position. And I had closed my business and was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years. Loved it. Loved being home with my kids. Honestly, never thought I would go back to work. I mean, maybe after they both went to college, but otherwise I didn't think anything would make me want to come back to work. But I saw this position advertised, and I thought about it for a long time because it was a very serious decision, but it just kept tugging at my heart. And it's just the personality that I have. I like to be involved. I like to give back. I care very deeply about this community. We chose to move back to this community. We went to college here. We were gone for 10 years and moved back. And so just the thought of being able to do something that I personally feel is so incredibly important was such a draw for me that staying at home was no longer an option. I had to apply, and then lucky for me, they chose me. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, and so what type of business did you run before you came here?
It was a store called Trade Winds.
Okay.
And it was a retail store. We were basically what they call in the industry a lifestyle store, which means that we had a certain avatar, a certain type of customer. Now, she might be 15 and she might be 75, but they're going to have enough similar interests that it's a similar type customer. And that girl or woman could come into our store. They could find decor for their home, gifts for their friends, bath and body products, shoes, jewelry, accessories, jeans, dresses, shirts. Basically, we had an entire side that was all clothing, and then we had a section that was all accessories and shoes, and then we had a big section that was gift and home decor. And so why they call it a lifestyle type store is because what we try to provide is everyone that fits that type of category could come into our store and, in theory, love everything and be able to find everything that they needed for their life.
That's really neat.
That's interesting.
We loved it. We really, really loved it. It was a fantastic store. It was a great fun run.
It sounds interesting, like a store that I would like.
It was so much fun, and I had the best girls that worked for me. They all worked so hard, and they were kind of the same way. They ranged from 15. I think our oldest employee was in her mid-60s, so we had a really big range, and they were all very customer focused and dedicated, and I miss it.
Very cool.
But I like this better. I will say that I like this better.
So they really that job really contributed to you kind of choosing this and made you really more involved with it?
Absolutely, because as a business owner, I completely understand all of the challenges that come to you, especially when you're a private, you've got one business and it's family owned and everything else. There are some real challenges to that, and part of it, quite frankly, is trying to make the public understand what all the benefits are to shopping locally rather than going out of town or out of state or online. And for example, here in downtown Durant, we have so many wonderful things, and there are still people to this day that will come up to me and say, I didn't know we had that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because they literally haven't driven through downtown in so long, or when they have, they're on something else is on their mind, and they're not really looking at the sides to see what businesses are there. And that is so important, not just to keep the businesses thriving and alive, which is good. I mean, many people say they want all these different selections and options at home, and the only way you can get that is to support the ones you have. And then in turn, more are going to open because they're going to see that there's a public that supports local business. But so you have to shop them to be able to keep them here, but also keeping all the tax dollars there and all the payroll from everyone who works there. Everything it's very important to our community. And so I was able to take that experience that I had from owning my own business and really be able to empathize with our business owners here downtown. And so I think that's definitely probably one of the reasons it tugged on my heart.
Right. And kind of along with that, we found an interview you had with the Durant Democrat that said, I sincerely love the people of Durant, and so why do you really love Durant so much?
I went to college here, and I had a wonderful opportunity, or a wonderful experience rather, at Southeastern. And Southeastern was not my first choice. I had another school in mind. I was dead set that's where I was going. But I went on a college visit day with a friend. I was just going to support her. And by the end of the day, she still was uncertain, and I was completely sold on Southeastern. So, but while I was here at Southeastern, I was probably a little bit unusual in that I didn't just stay involved with the campus. I was involved with the community as well. I shopped downtown when I was here. I went to all the high school football games. And then eventually the boy I dated, who's now my husband, was the same way. And so we just really loved the community and the people here. We lived in a great city. We lived in Edmond, which is great. Great schools, great place to live. So you would think, living there, that, they'd be completely happy. And we were. But there was always just something missing, and what it was for both of us was Durant, because you just can't replace the people here. So many people that are just so giving and concerned for one another and concerned for their community, quite literally the people that would give you their shirt off their back kind of people. And that's the kind of community I wanted my children to grow up in. So our daughter was in the middle of first grade, and we moved here. Our son wasn't quite in school yet, and we've never looked back. We love it very much. But it's the people that brought us here, and it's the people in Durant that are just second in that, in my opinion.
Cool. And you kind of already answered this. It's just what's the reason? Why do you want this job? But you kind of already talked about that.
Well, I did, and probably the biggest reason is, for me, I am very fortunate in that I was a stay-at-home mom, so I didn't necessarily have to work, and so I'm able to do this job genuinely because I love it. And I know not everyone in their lifetime actually has that kind of opportunity where they can do something that they truly just love, because you gotta pay the bills. But this is a job that I can sincerely say probably every day, but maybe 3. I feel very rewarded at the end of the day for what has happened through this office and the work that we do through our community and through our local business owners. And I have so many ideas, and so does our board. Is amazing, the most amazing board you could possibly imagine. They are all just on fire for DeAnn and you wouldn't believe the wonderful ideas everyone has and all the things that we've got planned for the future going forward. And it's just, it's such a really, really cool place to work. And I genuinely wish everybody could feel like I could when they're working. I realize it's a gift and it's very rare. So I feel very, very lucky.
Okay. And then basically, like, if any plans do you have, like, for the future that you said you can talk about?
Wow. So many things. Let me see. Just to name a few tangible things that the community might notice, we're working hand in hand right now with Imagine DeAnn and with the health department's healthy living division. And what we were trying to establish is a real farmers market. I know that we've attempted it sometimes. We've had some farmers sort of come in during our art walks and everything, but since we actually had the fire, where the fire department now is where our farmers market used to be, and since that was active, we really haven't had a true farmers market in a long time. And in fact, this week we're going to a day-long training session that is all about farmers markets. And so that's something we're really wanting to bring in. We're hoping that temporarily we can put it on 3rd Street until eventually we can get some of the funds needed to build a permanent one. And we do have a location downtown that is secret right now. but where we could build one and have parking and everything else. We've got, we're really going to be working hard this year on trying to push our facade grants, which basically means if someone needs a new awning in front of their store or a new sign or needs to take some of the metal down off their building, which I would love, everybody would do that. But we're really going to be pushing our grant program that we have for that assists those people and being able to do that, because, and that's why I said the public will notice that, because as people continue to use it, you're going to see a change in what downtown looks like. We're working on our flower beds. They don't actually have working irrigation. So we're working right now on some very creative solutions with the city of Durant, and they have some great ideas on some things to put in that will also hopefully happen this year. That's going to, so a lot of beautification things going on. We also have many events coming up. We have Dancing with the Stars, which is our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it's really cool. We'll have Colton's Run again, of course, which is beloved by all. So you'll see that sort of thing. You'll see our same events. Like last year we did December in Durant. Downtown in December. December in Durant was the initial name before we renamed it. Sometimes I default back to it, but you'll see those sorts of things. But basically what you're going to see downtown is we're hoping to get more people downtown. We're hoping that we can get wayfinding signs, which is, they come in many different forms. It can be a kiosk, it can be an actual sign with little arrows pointed, it can be anything, but we're trying to find ways to encourage people when they are downtown. If they see a sign, and it says cupcakes, 60 seconds that way, well, I'm gonna go get a cupcake.
No, yeah.
So, we're trying to find a way to, and we have some other plans in mind too with how the businesses are signing themselves on the street, but we're looking for ways that when people are downtown, that they can look down the street in any direction, and there are going to be things that entice them to continue walking further and hopefully enjoying downtown and realizing how many wonderful things we have going on at any time. We've got some new businesses that are opening this year. We've got some new apartments that are opening this year. So lots of really, really cool stuff already in the works. And I really think it's going to be a great year.
Well,